So this is part one of the 5 biggest AI trends you need to be paying attention to in 2026. So we're almost halfway through 2026 and people are still sleeping on Google and Gemini, but I think Google is positioned in a really good spot to make huge strides in 2026 and 2027. Now, there's 3 reasons why I think this. The first one is Google has really invested and built a family of models that cover all the different modalities and use cases a company might need to solve for using AI. So for example, they've got Gemini for text generation, they've got Veo for video generation, they've got Nano Banana Pro for image generation, and they've got a speech-to-text model for voice. So really, if there's any sort of modality a company needs to solve for, Google has a state-of-the-art model to help them solve for that particular use case. So the fact that they have not just a text generation model that's really good at coding or really good at writing or whatever, like they have a host of models to solve various different use cases a company might encounter. The second thing is Google is the only lab that I'm aware of that is using its own hardware to train their models. So for example, NVIDIA and OpenAI are all using GPUs from NVIDIA to train their models, but Google created TPUs, which are tensor processing units. So they're actually able to train their AI models on the hardware that they have built themselves. So the operational expense of being able to run these machines is probably much lower because they don't have to actually go and buy them from something like NVIDIA or AMD or whoever is providing these GPUs. That's one piece. The other piece is Google just has way more data than any other company probably on planet Earth. And AI models are only as good as the data that you use to train them on. So the fact that they have so much data from 20 plus years of having Google search and collecting a ton of information on us makes it to where they can probably train highly efficient models much faster because they're also owning the hardware layer as well. The third and final thing, if you haven't been to labs.google.com, you're definitely missing out. Google has released a ton of applications on top of the AI models that they built for different use cases like generating videos very quickly, creating websites, building coding agents, even like Notebook LM I think came from this lab experiments. But essentially Google is experimenting a ton on how to build applications that make it super easy for like business owners and non-technical people to be able to generate things like podcasts, commercials, music videos directly from their AI models without needing to know how to code or hit an API. So the fact that Google is also building this app layer to make it easier to interact with different models is I think really going to set them up. Really in the past couple months, with co-work coming out with all these agents like OpenClaw, are people actually understanding like, hey, I no longer want to chat with a model, I want to actually have it to do work. But Google's built some really cool AI applications. So I highly recommend you guys check out labs.google.com because it's a bunch of experiments that Google is building and all these applications on top of their state-of-the-art models.